think that's enough time. Welcome, everyone. It's Bible study time. Always excited about coming forward, you guys. Today is absolutely no different. Today, I'm going to be speaking out of the book of Daniel. You guys, Daniel is a very, very interesting book. If you listen and if you look into the story of Daniel, you'll find that Daniel had a very exciting life. Daniel was highly useful. Daniel and his three brethren, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, very, very interesting life and time for these people. And I want to speak to this today because I was researching it, and I read the entire book of Daniel over again today because I didn't want to miss anything. And I have so many talking points that I can speak to today that I don't even know what I'm going to be able to cover in this Bible study, but I know that I'll be able to build from it, and I'm super excited about what God is going to do. So let's begin by invoking the Spirit of God and assisting me in conveying the truth of whatever God wants to flow through me today. Heavenly Father, I come before you in love, looking for you. Looking for your truth throughout the many pages of this book. Throughout my entire walk in this life, I ask that you use me today and every day as your vessel amongst men and women in the world, to convey your truth, not to be anything other than what you have ordained me to be. Allow them to see the commonality between me and them. Use me as the vessel, your vessel in the world, to speak your truth to your beloved, your most beloved children. Allow me to convey this truth, this love that I have come to know to them. Let it be contagious amongst all of us. And let each and every one of us quarterback this knowing, this love to others in our daily lives. Let it be contagious. In love, I come before you today and always, looking for you. Stay close and come quickly when I call. I love you so deeply, and I thank you. And in God's name I pray, amen. All right, y'all. Okay, so the book of Daniel. We are in the book of Daniel today. I'm going to be reading from the book of Daniel. I'm going to limit all of my communications to the book of Daniel. That's how profound this book is. It's one of the most brilliant books of the Bible to me. Now, if you were to ask me, that's what I would say, because it's so action-packed. So much is going on in this book, and I look to convey the truth of this book and dedicate that truth to this particular Bible study. We're going to start with the beginning of the book, okay? The beginning of the book, chapter 1, I'm going to introduce to you the attributes of these children, okay? Talking points in this Bible study will be the attributes of the children of the house of Israel. These particular people that the book of Daniel is conveying. We're going to be speaking to the watchers, how they are so very necessary in the whole scheme of things. And the fact that God is in control, that there is a method to this madness that we experience in life. And I'm looking to add some clarity to that, some order to that today by way of conveying the truth of the book of Daniel. And the fact that help is on the way, friend. Help is on the way. And that you are so loved. I look to convey that to you today in the most simplest and most interpretable ways I possibly can convey it to you by using the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel starts with the children of Judah, the house of Judah, falling into being besieged by the Babylonians. Now, at this point in scripture, the children would not be taken captive. Jerusalem has not completely fallen and been besieged. Yes, Babylon has come and besieged Jerusalem, portions of it. But what I convey to you in the book of Baruch, and God coming down and putting all four angels at each corner of the temple and then burying it, that has not happened yet. We're on the cusp of this happening. Okay, so we're going to enter the book of Daniel. It begins in chapter 1 saying, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. This is how the book of Daniel begins. So the tribe of Judah has been besieged and they're taken under control by the Babylonians. This is one of the tribes of the other 11, and they've been besieged, and Jerusalem has been besieged by Babylon. Now, to give you some further understanding of who these people are, I'm going to go a little further in the text. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God. Now, these vessels that were given to the Babylonians that they took were not the vessels that were within the holy sanctuary. These vessels held power. There were cups and dishes that you would use to offer within the holy temple, but they were not the holiest of holy of the vessels. We will find that in the book of Baruch, it will be communicated by God to Baruch and in front of the angels that those vessels will not go into the hand of mortal men. You see, to take such vessels, things of God, makes mortal man great. Just having the vessels, even the people are a form of the vessels, but having the vessels of God amongst you makes you great in the world. And we will see in the book of Baruch, as I conveyed in past Bible studies and podcasts, that God would bury the inner sanctum of this same temple that Babylon has come and besieged. They will come and bury it. We are seeing what is happening being conveyed in the book of Daniel that I spoke so tremendously to in the book of Baruch. This is huge, y'all. This is the turning point of everything we are experiencing today. If you were to ask me, it's going down right here in this book of Daniel. Jeremiah is speaking to it as well in the books of Baruch. The scepter of power has been snatched from Israel and given to the person, the mightiest nation that can take it. And in this instance, it is Babylon. This is where everything gets turned upside down. This is the mirror effect. This is where everything is switched. The tide has switched. And the Bible is conveying really what is happening, but it doesn't put it in exclamation points and marks, and it doesn't really emphasize it as much unless you really know the history. So when it says the king, Jehoiakim, king of Judah, the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar with part of the vessels of the house of God. He's giving them part of the vessels, the holy vessels. This is going to make sense in a little bit. Which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. Now, mind you, the Bible is saying they carried the vessels, which are the house of Judah, and the vessels of God, into Shinar, the house of the Babylonians' God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure of the house of the God, of his God. Now, the Bible makes mention of this twice. Anytime the Bible makes mention of anything more than once, we need to pay attention to that. He makes mention of this twice in the same sentence. This is how important it is. He's taking God's vessels. The Babylonian, Nebuchadnezzar, has gotten permission from God to do this. God knows, God has allowed this to happen. He's not stealing anything. It's all up for the highest bidder. And it so happens to be Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, the mightiest nation outside of Israel at the time. And he takes both Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of God. This is huge because he now has the power. The Bible is signifying power, a transference of power here. When you take the house of Judah into your hand, you got to know who the house of Judah is. What does Judah represent spiritually as it relates to the house of Israel? Well, some of us know that when that God would say, send Judah first. Why? Because Judah is the praise. This is God's tribe that gives the praise. You see David dancing when they got the ark of God, and he's out there dancing almost naked, and then Saul's daughter Michal is complaining out of jealousy because she sees that David is now king, he will be king, and that he is proud because he has the ark of God. She's jealous. What is David out there doing? He's out there dancing and he's out there praising, because that's one thing David knew how to do. He is of the house of Judah. Judah are praisers. These are the protectors. You send Judah first because Judah is the first line of defense. Judah goes before everyone. Judah is like a shield. When you see Goliath and you see that man coming forth before Goliath with the shield, you must think of that man coming forth before Goliath as what we would consider in the house of Israel, Judah. They've taken the shield. Babylon has been granted the shield, the covering, the praise. This is huge. And I'm going to speak to the attributes of these people, because the Bible goes into detail with who they are. The Bible wants you to get the gist of this. He's saying they took the shield, they took the praise. They took that thing that brings the fire down. And where did they take it? They took it to Shinar, to the house of his God. They took all of these items, God's precious items, to use in the house of their lesser gods. And then the Bible repeats it. And he brought the vessels into the treasure of the house of his God. This is what they had been wanting all along. This is the key. This is the first key that unlocks everything else. If you can get the praise, if you can get the vessels, the pure vessels, you can get the maximum output. And this is what they got. How do I know it? Let's keep reading. And the king spoke unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain is in italics, certain. That means they're putting a subtlety on certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes. They're picking the top of the litter. Because all of the children of Israel are not set up the same way. Some are set up with the higher ability to give you a maximum output than others. They're all blessed. But there are those that have a thicker anointing. They have a subtlety to them that is rare. It's not something you find amongst all of them. And these are the ones that the king will put a eunuch in charge to find and bring amongst him. And the children in whom was no blemish, going back to Jacob, remember Jacob, no blemish with these animals. And the children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. So what we're seeing here is they're pulling the top, the creme de la creme of the house, the cream of the crop. Those that by nature rise to the top. They float. They always rise up by nature. You don't have to motivate them. You don't have to, go really deep into working hard to push them by will, by nature. They just have it. These are the ones that they call forward. These are masters in science. These are those that mastered the fundamentals from which this matrix terminates. The sacred sciences of this stuff. Mathematics at a level that is stunning. You're just dumb. You're so smart, you're dumb looking at it. It makes you feel dumb. Like, how? It's mathematics to the point that it speaks a language to you. It's no longer 1 + 1. It's beyond that. It's a linguistic. A linguistic so simplified yet covers everything. Brilliant is not even, what word captures it? Silence only can speak it. It's these are these people. They've been taken into bondage. And you wonder how. How could God allow such a thing? We're going to find out. So I gave you the attributes of these people. These are masters. These are system. System is not even big enough. Society is not even a strong enough term. These are people that have reached a pinnacle of knowledge so elevated, so large in its totality that it had to go into a descent. There really was not much higher they could go. They had experienced a height so high, yet they did not in their ascent capture that which would take them further. So they were bound to that height. Yet they had reached it. And like anything else, it's just like looking at a clock. You depart from the 12 o'clock hour and you go down to the 6 o'clock, and then you come back up to the 12 o'clock. It's this. Yet all must be rectified. Father, show me the way and how to convey this in the simplest way as I see it in my mind. All must be rectified. I'm going to make sense of this. So we see the attributes of these children. These children are not just some small farming community and, they're out here dancing because they like to dance. And no, this is a time when you dance for a purpose. You knew the power of the dance. See, they weren't just out here dancing because they liked the sound of the beat. They knew the connection between spirit and movement. They knew the power within the body, and they knew how to activate levels of consciousness within their own selves to reach heights that are unattainable to many people. This is what made them so powerful. This is the house of Judah. This is the Davidic line. This is what set it apart. They had reached a level of self-mastery that we see within David's walk, within the spirit of David. When we look at the spirit of David and David walking throughout all of his trials, using Saul and the spirit of Saul as an example, we're looking at someone that has mastered himself. Scripture is speaking to self-mastery. Sight beyond what I see. I don't need to see it manifest in the physical to know it. But I know me. I know I know that which is within me. I've come into the totality of a powerful knowing. So we've established the attributes of these children. And what we see in the book of Daniel is Daniel goes on a journey while he's in bondage here with these people. He's keeping his antenna up because he knows, like I just said, the power of his own creation. He knows the God within him. Daniel is a person that knows how to see. He is a seer. He is a prophet. And he knows more than anyone, he must keep his temple clean. Yet he's under bondage. And the king of this country that he's under bondage in knows the power of these people. He chose these people for a reason. He needs his God to be able to flow his power through these people so that whatever flows through them comes forth and serves his God. All of these nations want to be God. And we're going to find out very soon what this is about. So the king appoints them daily provisions of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them for 3 years, that at the end of thereof they might stand before the king. So the king has put these people within a particular area of his kingdom, and he's feeding him the things that he eats. This is how highly he thinks of these people. He knows the power that these people have. You don't offer provisions to those people that you think are worthless. You don't give them what you eat. You give them scraps. The king is giving these people what he eats. He's feeding them wine that he drinks. That shows that these people are being taken care of very well. Yet Daniel says, I don't want the wine, I don't want the meat and all that. Give me some lentils and some beans and I'll drink my water and I'm good. Because I need to stay in alignment. What we find with Daniel off the top is that he and his brethren stay in alignment. Now, the entire house does not do that. But the entire house doesn't have the anointing. So it doesn't matter. And God would allow this. God would allow it. Yet these people would take it upon themselves to stay in alignment. Why? Because they know from whence their power comes. They know that we might be down really bad right now. We might not know where this is going, but we know we still have this fire inside of us. And this that we have within us, they don't have. And this is our advantage, and we need to stay as close to this as we possibly can. So, long story short, the King Nebuchadnezzar begins to have these dreams. And like I said in my past podcast or Bible studies, he makes it very disadvantageous for people to be able to come and fool him. This is another very powerful and prominent nation. This nation of Babylon was the nation that created the technology to be able to build up high and to be able to bind their creator. So these are very, what we would consider technologically advanced nations. This nation is a highly technologically advanced nation. They are not some mere farming community. This is a powerful nation. And nobody in this powerful nation is able to determine this man's dream. He's not telling them what the dream is. He's making them explain him what the dream is and then to be able to foretell what the dream means. And no one in the nation is able to do it. He puts out a decree, and that says if you don't tell me what my dream was. And if you can't solve it, I'm going to destroy your homes and your livelihood for your family, and I'm going to cut you into pieces. That tells you the temperament of this king. We will find throughout scripture that this king would do the same thing on and on and on. His MO is violence. That's just what he does. If you don't do this, violence. And they know he means it. So none of these people that he has in his environment are able to tell him this dream. And they even come to him and admit there's nobody in the world that can do this. Nobody's ever done this because nobody's ever asked of it. So we don't know how you're going to get this done. And you want to unalive us, but this is something that can't be done. Yet when Daniel hears of it and that he and his brethren will be affected, he says, okay, let me go on and do this for this man. This goes to show you, as I said many times, there are many of you in local communities that can go toe to toe with some of these people that, are high in status. You dribble balls all around them people. Just like it's nothing. Because it is nothing. It's been a love you've had your entire life. I said this and I'm going to say it again. I don't care how tired of y'all hearing me say it. I said this when I first came on social media. Many of you that have gifts in all sorts of verticals, spiritual verticals, whatever type of verticals, that are in local neighborhoods, local communities, local towns. I was like, when I first came on one of my pages, like, I want to commune with you. Let's make this a community. Because your only problem is you suffer from underexposure. Nobody knows you. And you don't really even care. It's not like you're, oh, darn, I wish I could do that. You don't even care. You're so lost in loving what you know you do well, you don't really care if anybody knows. It's not something you have to prove. And that's the thing with knowing. When you know something, you don't really have to prove anything. I'm not about to argue with you. Argue with you about what? If you don't agree with me, okay. See you later. This is what Daniel is going through. The king has come with a decree that now it affects Daniel. And now Daniel has to come forward because God has allowed his tribe to fall into bondage with these people. And they don't really know where this is going. Remember, the temple of Jerusalem has not been destroyed yet by God. Daniel is on the lookout for a word. He knows something is coming. He just doesn't know what. And he's busy looking for a word from God. He's fasting and he's trying to stay in alignment as much as he can because these are the people of the house that the word trickles down through. And they've been taken into bondage. So Daniel comes and he tells, like it's nothing. He tells the king his dream and he interprets it. And the thing with the king, after he gets the interpretation from Daniel, after Daniel tells him what his dream was in HD, vivid display, details, everything. And then he makes it clear what the meaning of the dream was. The king is so astonished that he bows down and praises Daniel. And in him praising Daniel, we find in 2 Daniel, Daniel chapter 2, verse 46, the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshiped Daniel and commanded that they shall offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. So what we're seeing here is the mindset of this king. Daniel has done the unheard of, like it's nothing. Not just Daniel. Daniel and his three brethren. But the king, Daniel is the front man. Daniel is the one that comes before the king. So Daniel is the only one that the king knows that has done this. These other three are in the backdrop. They're in the cut. They don't really want anybody to know about them. Because that's what people do when they have gifts. They don't really want to be known, friend. And the king comes and he bows. He's astonished. He drops and he bows. This is a king dropping and bowing and worshiping at the feet of Daniel, and commanded that they offer oblation and sweet odors unto him. And the king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your God is a God of gods. Your God is a God of gods, and a Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldest reveal this secret. And the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over Babylon, over the whole province of Babylon, and the chief of the governor over all the wise men of Babylon. And Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So now the king is worshiping Daniel. Instead of the king saying, your God, I will worship, he says, no, I will worship you. And this is what many people do. I spoke to this yesterday. You get caught up in the messenger and you make the messenger your God, when the messenger came to convey a message of God. But you now make the messenger your God. This king of Babylon is doing the same thing. He does not correlate the fact that Daniel's God is the God of all gods. Instead of him correlating that Daniel is representing at that thing that is greater than him, he condenses it down to it being Daniel that has the power. And that Daniel's God, is a God. One of many gods, not the one God. And that Daniel's Lord is a Lord of kings. You see, as if there are many gods that are lords of kings as well. And this will be a problem. But God wouldn't say anything. God wouldn't move on it. But God will still continue to send him dreams. And what we find is that, so we see Daniel coming forward and presenting himself. And Daniel being successful in his presenting himself and solving a problem for the king because of his three brethren. But the king might know of these three brethren. Of course, Daniel looks out for them and they have high positions in the king's kingdom. But the king really knew of Daniel. So time goes on and these three, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, would have a problem where they would be praying. The king would uncover a fault within these three. These three would be looked to be compromised. They would be tested again, and they would not bend to the king's will or the king's ordinance because it was out of alignment to their God. And they will be put in a fiery furnace. Now, these same three that blessed this king with an answer to his dream, that helped Daniel, and the king acknowledged that they helped because Daniel was able to give them prominent positions in the king's kingdom. But the nature of this king, he now, after gaining the knowledge from Daniel's dream, he uses the knowledge he got from the dream that Daniel and his three brethren conveyed to him, whom if Daniel and his three brethren did not convey this knowledge to the king, he would not have it. He would still be in the dark on it because nobody in his kingdom could convey this knowledge to him. But because Daniel and his 3 brethren were able to do that, he was able to come into the knowledge of this dream. And this knowledge has made him feel very great. This is how God do you. This knowledge has made this king feel very great and blessed and powerful. He's blessed and powerful because he has these people up under him. And these people are giving this king their maximum output. But this king is not honoring the power of which he is being blessed. He is partaking of this power, but he is not honoring it. He does not see the God of these people for who this God is. And he does not, we will see these people for who they are either. And this will be to his disadvantage. So after he has this dream, he creates this huge statue because the dream conveyed that there would be a statue made. So he creates this huge statue of himself. It's gold. And he says, you got to go and you got to bow down and pray to this statue. And Daniel's 3 brethren just don't do it. They're like, I'm not about to, I don't do that. You're asking me to do something that I cannot do. And it might cost me favor with you, but if I do that, I lose favor with my God. I cannot do that. I will not. And the king gets word of it and he's furious. His ego is bruised. And he says, they won't bow to this image. Throw them in the furnace. Because that was the penalty for anyone that didn't bow to this image. They get thrown in the furnace. And he says, because it's them, make it 7 times hotter and put extra clothes on them so that they catch a fire, that it actually burns them up. Bundle them down with garments and things so that they really, really burn. And the fire was so hot that the strong men that led them into the fire were unalive. They couldn't withstand leading them into the fire. That's how hot it was. This is how much he thought of these people. See, that's what I tell you. God will let you do what you want to do. God will say, you got all the power. I gave you this dream. Now you think you are so mighty and you are this and you are that. And I will have my people be the ones to serve you and make you feel like you are this and you are that. And it's my people that bless you with the ability to feel like you are this and you are that. And I want to see how you treat them. I want to see where you think the gifts you get come from. I will put you in a position for you to search your environment and for you to search yourself and for it not to be far from you. The truth not to be far from you. It will be obvious to you. And then I will want to see what you do with that truth. How does it display in your life? How do you treat the people I send amongst you to help you? This is Nebuchadnezzar. God has blessed this man with these children. And all he thinks is selfishness. He gets this dream. And he's greater than I. How great am I? He creates a statue based on the dream and declares that everybody bow to him. Yet the people that conveyed the dream to him can't bow to him. He knows this. And he says, oh, you think you're better than me? Go do this to them. Matter of fact, make it 7 times worse for him. I want you to do to him worse than you've done to anybody before. We're going to make it 7 times worse than it was supposed to be, just for them. Ego. And those that would lead them into that furnace would be unalive, his mightiest men. The Bible said it was his mightiest men. That he led with these three into the fiery furnace. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He didn't care. Yet Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would come out of that fire like it was nothing. Without one, the Bible said that none of their clothes were changed. Not one burned, nothing. The Spirit of God came and protected them in the fire. And even after that, protected them in the fire. And even after that, the king comes and says, therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. So here we go with the same thing with this king. He's always trying to destroy somebody, unless you do something that he wants you to do. This is these, stick them up, stick them up. It's a stick up. These are these people, the stick them up kids. You don't do what I tell you to do, it's going to be terrible. It's always fear. This is Nebuchadnezzar. You don't do what I do. Don't do what I tell you to do. You don't say what I want you to say. You don't like what I want you to like. It's going to be terrible. It's always leading people with fear. Yet at the end of the sentence, he still does not come into the full realization of who and what he's dealing with. He's in denial. He says, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. After this sort. Now this would be one of the final straws that God would have with Nebuchadnezzar. See, God is the type of God that he just needs to see a pattern. He will let you do whatever you want to do. I'm telling you, this is what I know. God will let you do. He will make it you think that you are in complete control just to see what you want to do. Free will. Free will. He will make it seem like there's no penalty to it, like nobody's paying attention. All of that. Until you realize that that's not true. This guy Nebuchadnezzar has another dream. And, at this point, Daniel has come and he interprets the dream. Now, this is the part where I want you to understand. So we understand everything is coming through this Nebuchadnezzar person through a dream, and that these people are coming forth and being useful to him because they see. They're prophets. They are able to determine dreams. They have a very close relationship with God. God works through them very mightily. God's eyes are over them. And he sees this vision, and he has this, it's very troubling to him. And Daniel is having to convey this dream to him. And Daniel will convey the dream, and Daniel would be disturbed himself. Daniel would be dumbfounded by the dream, because the dream would not work to the king's benefit. The dream would be to his detriment. And Daniel, being the one to convey this dream to the king, is concerned because he don't know how this man is going to take it. So he's concerned that, how do I speak this? I can't manipulate it, because if I manipulate the flow of God's water, then I'm in contempt. How do I tell this man what the truth of this dream is without being in bad graces with him? It says here in verse 19, then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for an hour. Was astonied. He was astonished for an hour. And his thoughts troubled him. And, what we find during this instance is that what Daniel would convey to the king would be that he would be ostracized from his kingdom. His kingdom would be cut down. He would lose his kingdom. He would lose his power. And he will be ostracized, and he would have to wander the grasslands, the forests, like a beast, like an animal. He would have to eat grass, and his nails would grow long, and his hair would grow, and he would be like an animal. In so many words, his life would be turned upside down. And, all of this would be because of what his activities were. The things that he thought were so insignificant. The things that he probably was doing all along to everybody else. But then when he tried to do it to these people, which are God's children, they held him accountable. They held him in a balance. He didn't know it. He thought he was just going about life doing things like he normally did them to everybody else. Regardless, they were wicked, yes, but he was able to do them because he was doing them amongst people that were out of alignment with God. Regardless of them being innocent to that which he was judging them for or not, they were out of alignment with God when he was executing his will upon them. But now that he has these children amongst him, he's held to a whole nother regard that he knows nothing of. It never occurred to him the might of this God. Nobody ever sat him down and introduced this God to him. He has seen these people all along in all of their walks and has admired them. Had he not, he would not have taken so much pride in having them. He would not have made them so comfortable as he did. He knew the power of these people, but he knew the high notes. He knew the benefits of them, but he didn't know what came with them. And that's what held him in contempt. The things that he had gotten away with, all the wickedness that he had gotten away with doing to other people, he could not get away with doing to these people. It would be as if these people would put him on the radar of God. God would pay attention to his interactions with these people. When God turned his back on the Gentile nations and allow them to go and serve these other gods, this is what these people are doing. The Babylonians. These are the people that spawned all of this on. So what we see is the Babylonians doing what the Babylonians had done all along, and God would not intervene because these people chose to live under these types of constraints. They chose to. So we got two different programs going on. We got the Babylonians program going on that they do in their house. They're idol worshipers. They worship idols. They deal with spirits that you must invoke. And in invoking them, it was a trade-off. I'll do this for you. You do that for me. That type of deal. And now these people that honor this system have now been able to capture God's children, even though they are in derision with God in a sense. They've fallen out of alignment. They're still God's children, but they're being punished. And they have them under them. And it's kind of like the Ark of the Covenant. You see, when the Ark of the Covenant is in its rightful place amongst the people that God have ordained it to be, the people are fine. They know how to handle it. Yet when that Ark was taken by the Philistines and they thought that they were great with it, that Ark became a curse to them people. Because they were not supposed to have the Ark. They stole it. So them being ignorant to handling it was problematic to them. It is the same way with Babylon. Even though the Babylonians did not steal the children of Israel, they are fine until they begin to inflict their will on them, until they begin to treat them in an unfair manner. Until they begin to try to corrupt them and to make them fall out of alignment and do that which they should not do. What separates Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel from the rest of the house of Judah that was probably conforming to the will of Babylon is that they didn't want to do it. They chose to not conform. And because Babylon knew the God they served, they were not ignorant to it. They took these people knowing the God that they served. It's as if they had to honor it. That was part of the deal. You take them, you honor it. You take what they are when you take them. You don't corrupt them. Hold on. And if you try to corrupt them against their will, there's consequences and repercussions that come from it. That's the part. So the point I want to get to is that what chapter 4, verse 16 will convey is Daniel will interpret this dream for King Nebuchadnezzar. And chapter 4, verse 16, let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given to him. And let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of man. This is what Nebuchadnezzar heard and saw in his dream. This is one instance of the watchers coming upon Nebuchadnezzar. I said that Daniel conveyed it. I was wrong. Nebuchadnezzar saw this in the dream. He sees a watcher. After he sees this tree being cut down and all of these different things happening, he sees and he hears a decree. And he's concerned. And Daniel tells him that he will be without his kingdom. He will grow hair. He will be a beast in the field and all these things because of what he did. That's 7 times hotter. Make the furnace 7 times hotter for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, no problem. You think you're so great? You think you're so mighty? I've tried to give you an out. I've tried to give you a place where you can honor what your heart is telling you, but you have hardened your heart to the truth. And so you're going to have to stand in that. This is God. And he's saying, I've seen all that you do. You've done everything you can to honor portions of the truth that flows through you of me, but you don't want to give me my full credit. And not only that, you are mistreating my people that I've set amongst you to be a blessing to you. You have decided to mistreat these people for no reason, out of ego, because these people won't bow to you and you know that they can't bow to you. And now you want to make a public example of them and harm them, torture them. He's put them in a furnace 7 times hotter. You'll allow your strongest, mightiest men to suffer just so you can inflict your will upon these people. You don't care about anybody. And because of that, you have become a beast. A beast. You have lowered yourself so low in your creation. You have regressed, and you've done so happily. You wanted to do that. You take pride in that, as if that's something to be proud of. That is a regression of your creation. That is an altar. That is an alternative person. It's not a lofty thing that you have ascended to, that you should be proud of ascending to. That is a lower, debased state. And you will do that. And all of these things will come upon you 7 times more powerful. All because of what he did to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You see, Daniel came and proved himself first. This is God. This is how God do it. Daniel came and proved himself first. The king knew that Daniel was anointed and had a connection with God, and God used Daniel to inflict his will in the earth. And then God said, that's not enough, because what I got coming down the pipeline, I need to prove that I told you and I showed you who everybody is. So after he showed Daniel, he says, okay, now I'm going to put Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego on the front line. I'm going to work a miracle through them, so that you cannot say you didn't know. I'm going to allow you to make a decision that will put you in a position to either treat them right or treat them wrong. And he treated them wrong, and he threw them in the fiery furnace that he made 7 times hotter, that caused him the casualty of his mightiest men. And God would work a miracle for them. So now he knows these 4 people are anointed by God. God will not allow me to do anything to these people. Legitimizing God, giving God a reason. I keep telling you, this is a God that says, give me a reason. I'm here to tell you, he just needs you to give him a reason, friend. And the only way you give him a reason is denying what your heart tells you to do. You going against your heart for looking a certain way amongst other people. This is what we see time and time again. Nebuchadnezzar would wander the wilderness as a beast. His son will become king, and his son would have a feast, and he would take all of the vessels. That's why I brought the vessels up in the beginning. All the vessels of God that God said that Nebuchadnezzar has taken. He didn't steal them. He took them along with the house of Judah and put them in his house, in the king's house, and under the king's under the vessels of his God. Well, his son would take these vessels. He would do something that his father didn't do. He would take the vessels of God, and he would have a party, and he would let the people at the party drink out the vessels. So they're just hanging out, everybody getting drunk, drinking, singing, dancing, drinking, honoring the God of the metals of the vessel, honoring the God of gold, the God of silver, the God of brass, while drinking out of God's vessels. And then he sees this hand write something on the wall. And as the scripture said, he panicked. He pooped on himself. His bowels were loosed and he couldn't stand up. He was concerned. Very concerned. I'm here to tell you, y'all, when God moves, this is what gets you. This spiritual game is not for the faint of hearts. I'm here to tell you, because when God moves in weird ways. God will move through nature, friend. Something that you'll see and you'll be like, what was that? And it'll invoke a feeling in you that nothing in the world could ever invoke. That'll linger and you'll be like, what was that? God moves through nature. He moves in strange ways. I can't emphasize it enough. God moves in strange ways, friend. He gonna get the maximum effect out of you. that response you get from God's movement is going to get the maximum effect. It lingers. So when I see that this young man bowels were loose and he couldn't stand up, could you imagine seeing something like that? In some strange language? What is this? And of course, who do they call? Daniel. So they call Daniel, and Daniel interprets it. And this is the part that I want you to hear. And Daniel interpreting what he says. And Daniel said, my God hath sent his angel and have shut the loins' mouths, and they have not hurt me. Hold on one moment. Long story short, y'all, Daniel comes and tells the king's son that it's God that made him great. It's God that made your father the king, friend. It's God. King Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon. Many people will be like, how could God make King Nebuchadnezzar king? This is where it all comes full circle. God is saying, you think all of these princes of darkness and fallen angels and kings of regions and demons and spirits and all these things exist by their own will? I've created all of this. I'm the reason why they don't have a body. I created them. At one time they had a body. I created all of it. If it wasn't for me creating it, it could not exist. I'm in control of all of this. You thinking you're going to work something against my will is ridiculous. My will is everything. My will is law. We got to get to the central point of this thing, because I feel like we get lost. If you think you're serving Satan, if you think you're serving the God, the creator, if you think you're serving ISIS, if you think you're serving Marduk, if you think you're serving whatever God you think you're serving, or demon, or whatever, they all bow to God. They could be defiant as much as they want to be. They could be rebellious children as much as they want to be. They all bow to God. Period. They are all playing a position. One person's position is to do righteous. Another person's position is to do unrighteous. If it weren't so, it would be this way. It wouldn't be any balance here. Everybody is playing a position here. This is the only way that one has order. That's it. And this is what God is showing King Nebuchadnezzar's son through Daniel. Because Daniel has interpreted this dream that this man has had. And he is concerned. And this is, this is to those that want to lean on the fact that they don't know. This is King Nebuchadnezzar's son. His father is off in the wilderness being a beast. Okay? He's bound to wear feathers, let his hair grow long like feathers. His nails are like claws. He's eating grass. And now his son has become king. And God is saying, I don't care that he did not teach his son the fundamentals. I don't care that he didn't expect these things to happen to him. He should have been precautious. He should have prepared. God does not care about any of that. God curses ignorance. The fact that you are ignorant is not an excuse. The fact that this young man didn't know that he should not go and get God's vessels and give them to his friends so that they could drink and smoke and laugh and dance and do all kind of vanity kind of stuff with holy things is not God's problem. That's his father's problem. Now his father has to pay the price for what is going to befall his son. This is tough love in God's kingdom, y'all. I'm here to tell you. Many of us think it's, oh, God is going to forgive us and love us and we're going to be great because we didn't know. You guys, we're going to be great. No. God is going to be, girl, friend, boy, man. God is not. I'm here to tell you. God curses ignorance. It is your job to know. You got just as much time as everybody else to know. This young man didn't know because his father didn't teach him, more than likely. And it supports all God's activity to his father. All of this befalling his son is because of what his father did. And what God would do is God would send Daniel, and God would have Daniel expose to him what the dream is, and he would end up cursed. And Daniel would make it clear to him that this is all God's stuff. This is God's kingdom. There is no powerful entity in this kingdom that can overthrow God. That's what many people talk about. In the last days, the enemy thinks he's going to overthrow God. Maybe that's the program that God has put in his mind to believe that. Where did he get that idea from? We're all terminating off of one central bank of ideas. If God doesn't want us to have the idea, God will cut the idea out of the bank of ideas. So the enemy thinking that he can overcome God is allowing the enemy to play his position, his maximum role in his position. He's supposed to think that. And he's supposed to come up with ingenious ways to make it happen. And then we're supposed to know that this cannot happen. And we're supposed to take up space so that it doesn't happen. Or else it's not, what are we doing here? This is what Daniel is somewhat saying to this young man. So, lastly, with the book of Daniel, the young man ends up being unalived that night, and then the next day they put someone else in place. And, nonetheless, I want to end this with help is on the way. Daniel will get another vision, and Daniel's vision would be that of the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem. We started off the Bible study with the temple being besieged by Babylon, but had not been destroyed. And, Daniel is having this vision, and this is in lieu to what Jeremiah would do, and Daniel would understand the times and the seasons that would pass. And what we find is that Daniel pleads, once he finds that God is going to destroy the temple of Jerusalem and that they're going to have to go into bondage. You know, he knows that this thing with Babylon is not going to be a short situation. They're going to have to deal with this for an extended amount of time, and he's wrestling with it. And you know, he's having conversations with I'll read chapter 9 verse 2. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, stood by the books. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, and he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. So he's found that they're gonna be down for a while, and he's so saddened by it that he is fasting. He's putting ash on himself, and he's fasting. It's the worst thing you could hear. It's terrible. It's their whole world is upside down, just completely upside down. And he prays to God a prayer like none other. And this is what I need you to hear. So after Daniel prays to God, he prays his heart out to God. Please hear me. Please don't allow this. Please have mercy on us. Please, Father, please. He's pleading, like lamenting in a way that it's just undescribable. Chapter 9, verse 21. Yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. So Daniel has seen in after he's prayed, and while he was speaking, he immediately has a vision of Gabriel flying swiftly to him. He sees him flying, coming while he's in prayer. That's how powerful Daniel's prayer was. Daniel's prayer could reach the height of heights like that. So much so, Daniel had prayed with such a lament and with such power and emphasis that it caused an immediate response from the angelic. An angel was immediately dispatched, not just any angel, but Gabriel. Immediately came. He came immediately. Daniel says he saw him fly, caught, whom I had seen yea, while I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. When I first opened one of my businesses, I named it this. I named it swiftness. Swiftness. God comes swiftly, friend, when he knows your voice. Swiftness. He said the angel Gabriel being caused to fly swiftly because of the level of intention within his prayer. And this angel will come and he will say, that he would make mention to Daniel all these things that would come. And the things that he would make mention would be a lot of the things that the children will befall, the times that they would stay within their bondage, how it will work out for them, what will come in future times. He will prophesy to Daniel. But what I want you to understand is in verse 23. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth. He's saying, in the beginning of your prayer, a commandment came forth. And I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. He said, at the beginning of your prayer, I heard you. You were praying so intently. I heard you from the beginning of your prayer, friend. I heard every single thing you said. And I've come to show thee. I've come to show you that which you need to know to find comfort in. Because I don't ever want you to think that God does not love you. These things you got to befall. All of y'all. To rectify all that you've done. There's no other way. But I've come because you are greatly beloved. Greatly. This is what the angel tells Daniel. At the beginning of thy supplication, the commandment came forth. And I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision. And he tells him that all of this transgression and all these things got to come to pass to reconcile the transgression and the iniquity, to bring everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the most holy, to make you worthy. But that's not it. He will go on, and he would tell Daniel many, many things about the times and the things that will come to comfort Daniel so that they would know and to be on the lookout for the signs and to pass it to future generations so that they know, lest they forget and think that they are not loved, lest they forget and think that God has turned his back on them. Lest they get mid-cycle or 3/4 of the way in and they believe like all hope is lost. There's no method to this madness. He came to say, you are beloved. We're settling debts. You slapped me on this cheek. Turn here, get this one too. We're settling debts. We're settling debts. And that's not the end of it. We're purging. Some of us are settling debts, and then some of us are the ones out here slapping. There's two kinds. Either you're settling debts or you're becoming indebted. It's the sifting. The last part of this I want you to get is that there is another angel that was dispatched at the same time that Gabriel was dispatched. Yet he was held up. This one was held up. Chapter 10, verse 11. I'm going to read verse 9. Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me up upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved. in the beginning of Daniel's prayer to God of his distress, he rang the alarm. You ever had to ring the alarm, friend? Ring the alarm. He rang the alarm in the spiritual world and said, I need you to hear me. Come quickly. I need you to hear it. And in him praying this heartfelt prayer, the angel said, the first one that came, said that we heard you from the beginning. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth. He said, I got a command to come to you. In the beginning of your supplications, I was told to come to you. And what we find here is that there was another one dispatched at the same time. And this is the one that was held up. They both were dispatched at the same time, but there was another one that found resistance in reaching Daniel. Listen. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved. He's saying, do you know how loved you are, friend? I got a command immediately to come to you. This don't happen all the time. It came quickly. I came swiftly. Understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. Hallelujah! I could get up and, woo! If this ain't everything, this has purpose. He says, from the first day that you set your heart to understand, from the first day that you set your heart to understand God and to chasten yourself before God, to control yourself, to dedicate yourself, to align. It takes dedication. It's easy to live any kind of way. It's easy to be misaligned. It's the easiest thing ever. It's difficult to stay dedicated. It's difficult to control yourself. And this angel is saying, from the first day you began doing these things, all the way back, your words were heard, and I am come for your words. It's not just this prayer. It's your consistent meditation. It's a build. Yet now that you really, really need to hear a word, look at what comes from your actions. Look at how much power you have in the spiritual realm. That when you first came forth in giving up your praise unto God and your lament, that your words were heard so swiftly that God sent a commandment for angels to be dispatched, and that you saw with your physical eyes move swift on your behalf. Immediate. But that's not it. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the king of Persia. But now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the later days, for yet the vision is for many days. That's what I got to end it on. Your word has been heard, friend. There are many in alignment with you. Many are surrounding you in spirit. Ooh. They are surrounding you in spirit. Your prayer on whatever that thing is has been heard. And it has been acted upon. It is done. It is done. They not only heard you, a commandment was sent out on your behalf. And the only reason you do not see it is either because it's being worked out or they are fighting to get to you. This second angel, had Daniel not gotten the first angel, gotten word from the first angel, he would not know that the word was received. Because the second angel was held up. As soon as he hit this realm, his power was so mighty that the enemies that control this realm dispatched demons and angels and legions, and King of Persia himself came to wage war with him to slow it down. They know they can't stop it, but they'll try to slow it up. They cannot stop it, but they can try to slow it up. And in them trying to slow it up, Michael, the archangel of all of them, had to come down and free him. And while he is still wrestling with the king of Persia, Michael, this other angel was able to be freed so he could come and console Daniel. This is how loved Daniel was. And the angel is saying, I came to give you a word to let you know that you are beloved. You are loved. You have been, all of your prayers have been heard. Don't you ever think for a second you are forsaken. God has not forgotten you. God has not forgotten you. God has dispatched legions on your behalf, some that will not come like I, but they are with you. Wherever you go, they go before you. Wherever you are, they are round about you. No weapon formed against you will not ever prosper. Not ever. And I cannot stay with you long because I got to get back to this fight. This. You must know these things. And this is a clear example of this in the book of Daniel, of how these things happen. That thing you're wrestling with, friend, whatever it is, God heard you. God has dispatched angels on your behalf to work that thing out. Now, regarding him showing up like Daniel or not, they might not. But if you know your alignment is right and purposeful and intentful, you can guarantee that it's being worked out. And you can use this as an example of how things at times move slow. And why? Because it's a battle on your behalf. God has dispatched angels for many of you to wage war against the kingdom of this earth, many of them on your behalf, those that wish you harm. You must know this. I just come forth to be the voice of this truth to you. The voice of this truth to you. I love y'all so deeply. This is my Bible study for you today, the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel is a profound book. Take some time to read it. It will put a new ideology on some of the things that we find taboo. Daniel was a seer. He was a person that could read into things. He was more than a dream interpreter. He was beyond that. He was a prophet. And he aligned himself intently to God. And surely in the beginning of aligning with God, it's difficult because it's something new. But I'm here to tell you that it becomes very easy. It's the best thing going. It's the gift that keeps on giving, especially in times like these. You are loved more than you'll ever know. I'll never, ever, ever stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.